not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOPTV, Voice of the People Television.
Welcome to the Locker Room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpillon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Atiku and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the Locker Room and Voice of the People Television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not playing in talk, please discuss.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and office got burnt on, was it Friday or Saturday morning, got burnt, and Nigerians are saying, why now?
Well, that's not a problem. We know where the Gazette is. It's not in the FIRS. We know where the Gazette is.
Oh, well, let's take you through the conversations we are having this morning. Tax laws alteration. Presidency denies claims. Atiku Obi demand probe. Nigerians actually are demanding for probe. Wike Makinde faction remain adamant despite INEC intervention. That's talking about PDP crisis. And also, CJN charges judiciary to guard credibility ahead of 2027 polls. Now, these are the conversations that we will focus on this morning. But there are others that Nigerians are talking about, and we will chime in on them as well.
All right, talking about other trending stories, the Nigerians are chiming in just for you to know that you can also key in and also give us a contribution during this program. Just do the needful by. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, do what to subscribe, okay? And YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV. Across other social media platforms, we have VOP TV Live. On the trending story today, the Kebbi State government has denied allegations that it was behind the Financial Crimes Commission's EFCC detention of former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. According to the government, the petitions against Malami being investigated by the EFCC did not originate from Kebbi State, but rather from Abuja, from some of Malami's colleagues. Interesting. Now, the question on my mind is, why should we have people coming up to say, I'm denying this allegation or this or that? See, it's only in Nigeria that someone will be called in for questioning, for probing, and then we'll start giving it arms and legs, a political connotation. This person is being withheld. If you're here, although I don't really blame the public, or I don't blame the people who perceive it that way, because it's under this present administration that someone made a statement that if you're to cross-carpet to a particular party, you're seen to be forgiven. Though he come up to say that was not what he meant. But if you check out what is playing out, we have the former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Federation, Abubakar Malami, being called in for questioning regarding some things that Nigerians need to know about Abacha loot and all that. And someone is saying, no, it's he's been politically withhunted. We're seeing this because he left APC for ADC. They're trying to clip his wings and all that.
It speaks to how we like to parry issues. We like to parry issues. The fact of the matter is, were funds misappropriated? Are there missing funds? Do we have justification for the monies recovered at that time? I mean, if there are questions to be answered, I think the man should come in and answer questions. The fact that he has left, but you see, it's difficult to now separate one from the other. Persecution because of party affiliations from actual crime, actual allegation of crimes committed. It's difficult because
I like the fact. I'm sorry, Moses. I like the fact that you talked about the separation between persecution and actual
crime and
fight against corruption. You were on this stage, on this program once. You said like, why in all of this? Why is it that they are not persecuting Peter Obi? If it is political persecution.
Yes,
because he's not with them.
He's not with them. And like I said that time, because they don't have anything on the man.
So it speaks to the fact that, look, he who goes to equity
come with clean hands.
Come with clean hands. And the fact that I think it also speaks to our fault lines, how we run things here in Nigeria. At times I've looked into history and I begin to think, is it an African thing? Does it have to do with our cosmology? When, like Moses and I are from the same state now, and Moses serves as a minister, and now Fina says, oh, look, Chukuma, Moses took $2 billion that belongs to Nigeria. And instead of me saying he did or he did not, I say, okay, what of Ebere? Ebere also took. So
you
why
can imagine?
But all the same, to avoid such stories or such, people or such statement being made by Nigerians, I think whatever thing is good for the girls should be good for Uganda. If you want to probe people who are corrupt, you have to start from the top. You have to make sure that you don't leave any reason for people to think you're taking sides.
That is what we are driving. I think it runs around our lives, and as Africans, we are very protective of ourselves. And in the process of protecting ourselves, we even harm ourselves. And that is when we speak to tribalism. Mm-hmm. Ethnicity in itself is not a bad concept, but to what use do you put that ethnicity? A situation where, like in the history of Nigeria, the Igbo State Union, the Oduduwa, the Emo-Ogbo Oduduwa that Awolowo were formed and all of that. And the idea was to unify people, in terms of community development, local efforts, collective initiatives and all of that. But it got to a point where people now started using it against other tribes and other ethnic groups. That is when it became a problem. It is basically not a problem. That is how human beings are structured. Yeah. Like Michael Obirin in his book, The Dead Lagoon, said, look, you don't expect me to love what I love if I don't hate what I don't love. You get the point. So when we become too protective, so what we need to do at this point is to grow beyond those local sentiments.
Which will take a lot of deliberate effort.
A lot of deliberate effort.
We need to move beyond.
It also reminds me what happened in Delta State when Iburi, bolted away with a lot of money belonging to Delta State. And the federal government, in their joining efforts, recovered some. Meanwhile, at that time, Delta people said, no, we are not looking for our money. But when federal government recovered the money, Delta State said, oh, this money
Give us our money.
Give us our money. Federal government said, which money? I thought you said you were not looking for your money. So now that, but I understand that this is not Kebbi State money.
No, it's not.
It's about
the point I was
driving at. It belongs to all of us, Nigeria.
The point I was even driving at is the fact that why is it that some of these things come up when there are interests, political interests?
Okay.
That's the fact. That's the point I'm driving at. Now we hear he wants to contest for the governorship of the state under the ADC. And of Kebbi State is in the APC. So it's now, it's difficult to dissociate it.
Not to read political undertone.
Yes, it's difficult to dissociate it from political affiliations and the likes. It's really difficult. And why is it coming up now? But the fact remains that if monies have been misappropriated by any individual, public office holder or whatever, it should be tried. Now, the issue of Timothy Silva also, the monies he allegedly misappropriated for oil well in Bayelsa State, they are building a refinery in Bayelsa State. That didn't come up until there were allegations of his involvement in a coup. Why? If he did that, then it should have come up earlier. So it's like, the feeling I get is that the relevant agencies, EFCC, ICPC, the rest of them, the executive, they have these things, they have files on public office holders, and they keep it for when you err.
Yes.
When you err, they bring it and
when
say,
you
okay,
go off track.
Yes, they say, look, we have this on you, which should not be the case. And that's why people ask, why this person? Why that person?
That's the question people are asking. It's difficult to, take away political undertones in all of this, especially. Some of them could also be coincidence. Like the file thing that you are talking about, it was very common during the military era. If you make so much noise, the DMI, will call you and open your file to you. And by the time you come out of DMI office, your mouth is shut. Your mouth is shut. So we are beginning. So when people talk about, the country gradually descending to sliding towards autocracy, dictatorship, and all of that, these are the things that they see and begin to say, look, this thing is not right and this thing is not. But like we said, unfortunately, the people that are being tried have skeletons in their cupboard. So that is the big problem. And we keep going back to, if this person, had anything in his cupboard, they will also have tried him. But up until this,
they would have brought him down.
They would have brought him down.
They have
done
probably
everything to do that, but unfortunately,
with DSS going to courts every now and then.
They went to Pandora, and a man came out and said, "Look, this is what happened in Pandora." People they couldn't see anything, against him.
So in other words, whatever thing you do in Nigeria,
my payoff line here.
How many more politicians do we have like that?
we do, but maybe they are not really that.
They're not vying for office.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know one person, and they are not vying.
They're not. They're not vying. They will tell you that. They'll tell you that the political space in Nigeria is too dirty.
What does that? Yes, I understand. But what does that now say to those we elect into offices?
Most of the time,
we
we don't
get
really.
a clean person?
Do we elect them, or do they put themselves there?
It will be difficult to get, especially when you ask the question, eventually. You can name one person, Yeah. And I like the fact that I didn't see that coming. Fina said, yes, we have. They are not running for office. I think Atiku Maokori is one of such persons.
Are you not corrupt?
How?
Are you not corrupt?
How?
Have we given you a lot of money to determine whether you are corrupt or not?
Warren Buffett said, don't test the integrity of a poor man. Let's get into another topic.
Let's get into another conversation.
The chairman of the National Law Enforcement, well, my producer just cut it now and disturbed me. Well, the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Bubamawa, retired, had said that the new drug test policy for schools will help reduce the substance abuse among young people. Marwa stated this when he received the Vice Chancellor of Taraba State University, Professor Sunday Bako, who led a team to seek partnership with the NDLEA. The policy, which includes compulsory and random drug integrity tests for students, is a joint effort between the Federal Ministry of Education and the agency. Well, Marwa commended the university for establishing a Directorate of Narcotics and Drug Abuse Prohibition and promised to support its efforts. As usual, this is a very good policy that will churn out. We are not bereft of fantastic ideas, policy initiatives, but the problem is implementation. How do we implement? How do we enforce? I like the work that Bubamawa is doing in NDLEA. It's a very tough job, especially given the fact that our youths now, are overwhelmingly using drugs and substance abuse. If you have to get to the root of this matter, in fact, this test should start from the secondary school. Because you also, I saw a video that made the rounds the other time, and you saw young girls who were passing out, from high school, and they were taking shisha, and they were taking videos of it and putting out on Instagram, on Facebook, and other social media handles. And I was like, these kids are between ages 15 and 17, and they're already hooked on this. By the time they get to university, what will they become? So it's deeply troubling that we have this kind of situation in the country. Like I said, Bubamawa, I applaud you. I applaud your efforts, and I hope that you do more. Universities should key into this initiative and ensure that. But another major problem I say is, will it not be abused by authorities too? We see situations where random tests, when you say do this test and return to school and all of that, we see people go to test centers, pay money, collect without having to pass through. I remember at a point once I wanted to travel and I needed a yellow card because my yellow card had expired. So I went to take a vaccine and get another yellow card. I saw people paying money without actually taking the vaccine. And I'm like, exactly what is happening? So these things also happen, and it might get to a point where you see it becomes a racket for some test agencies to just collect money from people and give them a certification without having to go through the test. So these are the the safeguards that we must have to put in place to ensure that we take the benefit of this initiative.
Well, the prevalence rate, prevalence of drug abuse amongst Nigerians is increasing. I think the last time a holistic analysis was done by United Nations Office on Drug and Crimes was in 2018, and they found out that between the ages, I think it was about 60 something percent, and people between the ages of I don't know, it feels like there's something like people within the ages of 15 and 30 and 24, 25 take a lot more. They abuse drug, and now it's a good thing what NDLEA is doing. Buba Marwa led NDLEA. NDLEA. It's a good thing. It's a laudable move, but I think we should go beyond that, because a lot of Nigerians are abusing drug. And what are the reasons? All right, we should look at the psychology behind it. What are the reasons people are moving towards drug? There's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of desperation. There's a lot of people have mental illnesses that are not diagnosed. So they shift to the usage of cannabis and other gateway drugs, a lot of all these things. They use them to douse or, reduce how they feel and react, or to, but a lot more should be done as against just testing. Now, test students, all right? We also have policemen who abuse some of these things. They should be tested as well. Our politicians should be tested as well, because anybody who acts abnormal, should be tested. It should go around offices. There should be testing points at offices, because some people come into offices. In fact, in this particular office, I've had to, wait to use the loo at some point, and when the young man who was in there came out, he was obviously using something. And when I stepped in, I saw tablets on the floor, and I called him by. I was like, bros, so a lot of young people use drug, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. It's one thing to pass a law, say, okay, test students, but I think we all should get tested every now and then. Maybe every quarter, or maybe every month, once every month. Yeah, we should all get tested for certain drugs.
All right.
Because it's from the usage of drug to unprotected sex to the spread of infections and diseases, and it just keeps getting worse if care is not taken.
With the situation of things in Nigeria, even when people don't take substances, some of them behave as if to say they take substances because of the frustration they have. I think first we have to, first of all, establish is to make sure that every corporate organization, or even beyond the corporate organization, now have a place where psychological balance tests will be, first of all, conducted for people who are working there. I went to one organization and I found out that they have their vent room. That's what they call it. If you're upset to go there, you can shout, you can break something. I'm like, oh, I love this. But guess what? So many people don't want to go there because they believe that once you enter there and come out, that shows you're having some psychological problem. But now, more you said a whole lot. And the fact that he pointed out to what I wanted to say earlier, it really gladdens my heart to do with actually thinking the same direction. That is, it shouldn't just be students. It should be everybody. From the lawmakers, because sometimes you see them display and you'll be asking, or you start wondering what is really happening with these people. Then you have the executive arm to everyone. Everybody should be subjected to drug tests. Yes, it should. We all should, not just students. Okay, what happened after university when you're done, you've graduated? when you're working, what plays out there in the office that you're working. We see some bosses too, who, especially some people who happen to be owners of private enterprises to behave like people who are on, not just that they are behaving like it. Some of them too abuse drugs. So when you look at the way they treat their workers and how they act sometimes, you begin to wonder what is really happening, what is really playing out. Now, you go to secondary school, like Chuma pointed out, the abuse of the substances are there. You know the one that hurts me the most? When you walk on the street, I ran into a guy. I was like blaring the horn for this guy to leave away, and it was where he was. Guess what? I was told later that I should take it easy. Our guy is on colors. I said, which one is on colors again? So in his mind, he was moving with full speed to cross, but he was just moving like I don't know.
It was slow,
very slow.
And that's the cruise. That's the cruise.
You've not eaten breakfast.
Yeah.
You've not had lunch. You've not eaten healthy meal, and you're on eye drop. No, now. We need to look into this anyway. I believe that Buba Mara and his team will also work on this. As also, he will look into his team too to make sure that the people who are going to prosecute people are not abusing the substance too, because you see that play out.
That's one of the concerns. There are also lots of concerns around the drug agency. Some of the drugs, that are seized, we don't know where they end up.
Some they destroy it.
Sold.
Some of them are resold, into the same society that it was confiscated from. And it's concerning. It's concerning. Nigeria is, we need total overhaul.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, let's move away from those conversations. I think the other conversation is about Akwa Ibom State and the lawmaker, Udeme Otong, who said, look, he has all the tickets in his pockets and he personally negotiated for them and he will hand them to people. We've had people react. A Labour Party chieftain in the state has also reacted. And I asked myself, how is Labour Party faring really? But, but I think we've talked about this before when the story broke, actually. So that was a careless statement from the lawmaker. Very careless, I must say. And he should be, being a speaker in the state assembly, making such reckless statements, I think he should be reprimanded.
No, not just reprimanded. That statement is actually actionable. Yes, it's actionable. He could go in for it. In Senate climbs, he will.
In Senate climbs, you say?
Then he can also still say, elections have not been conducted, so I just threw a jab. It's a statement, not a commitment. So what do you make of it? Because we've seen people make such statements, such careless statements. They'll tell you that PDP said they're going to be in power for 60 years. So what happened after that? So
that's not the same thing.
If we're saying he can go in for it,
do
you see him with any party ticket?
That's not the same thing as making it seem like the people's votes don't count. Look, I have the tickets. They're not even talking about the people or the people who will vote for us, the people who will keep us in power. No, you are saying I have all the tickets in my pocket, and I personally negotiated for the tickets, and I will hand them over to whoever I want to. No,
the thing is,
that's different.
Let's bring it back again to the reality of event. You know that this man now can still look in the face, me and you in the face, and tell him, I just made a statement. Did you see me with any party ticket? Were you there when I renegotiated or negotiated for them? Have we conducted the election already?
Oh, well,
I just made a statement
let's move away from that conversation.
Let's move away because I'm just looking at 50.
Yeah.
It is what it is in Nigeria.
I have a word for you, don't worry.
Let's move away from Trina and that conversation. Let's look at the headlines now. Let's quickly run to Vanguard newspaper. And these are the headlines there. Why Presidency raised 2026 budget to 58 trillion naira. Works on details as Nigerians await breakdown. Well, he started breaking it down already. He has told you what defense will take. And defense, health, and education. And those ones have been mentioned already. Anyway, African opening ceremony. Unprecedented takeover. Dynamics implications of APC dominance of NAS. NDLEA nabs female drug kingpin. Seizes 23.5 kg cocaine in children's room. Poverty. Some ladies now use detergent for hair maintenance. Really, Fina?
No, I don't know that. And I have not done that before, so I don't know.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
they do.
Lagos Ports. Stakeholders decry mandatory e-call-up system. Mixed outlook at Christmas. lower food costs, high livestock prices. All right. Remaining 130 abducted Niger pupils released. All right. Then. And we also have Yuletide. FCCPC slams transport fare hike as complaints mount. And yes, I think that's pretty much all there is on the cover page of the Vanguard newspaper.
First Daily newspaper is up next. And beside the masthead, outrage as the kitty approves 458.8 million naira severance for ex-LG politicians. Free at last. Final batch of abducted St. Mary's students regain freedom. 130 students liberated after month-long ordeal. Obi blasts National Assembly for refusing to criminalize vote buying. And DLA boast female drug queen in Lagos seizes 23.5 kilogram of cocaine. Defect and take 2027 ticket. Wabara dangles PDP offer to OT. Shade Tinubu storms Alaafin's palace for Okalomo of Yorubaland title. Osun 2026 battle, APC bigwigs close ranks behind Oyebanji. Fake vigilantes exposed. Police parade 5 armed robbers in Anambra State. The bottom strip headline, Serap to Tinubu, publish original, sign tax laws or face court. Those are the stories on the cover page of the First Daily newspaper.
And from The Guardian, the big story, fiscal indiscipline fuels budget chaos, governance gaps. That story is on page 5 of The Guardian newspaper. More stories from The Guardian. Tinubu declines assent to central gaming bill. NIBS assures hitch-free e-payment systems amid 384 trillion naira quarterly transactions. Government targets 2 billion naira savings in 2026 as MDAs go paperless. Nigeria records 33 new Lassa fever cases, 18.2% fatality spike. And at the bottom strip headlines, tax reform rule deepens as civil society demands probe, flags concerns. Stakeholders condemn Rest's refusal to criminalize vote buying at primaries. And that's it from The Guardian newspaper.
Well, that's pretty much how far we can go on newspaper headlines. When we come back from this break, we'll be diving into the alleged alteration of the tax laws. Well, Presidency denies the claims, and some of the Nigerians, Atiku will be, are demanding for a probe. Well, let's talk about this when we come back. Join us again.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeats, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
Voice of the People, you can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Suibifa Dokubo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikenna Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you, VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka. I'm an about the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV. Stay with us.
Uyi Osarite is my name. I am a friend of the microphone. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios. Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging, picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings that I see sometimes on your channel. I'll be like, well, this TV station will go places. Voice of the People TV.
Oh yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV. Live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? They call me Ovisha Nelson One, your #1 celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Tosin Mohammed. I'm a gospel artist. Keep watching VOP TV.
Almighty Father, you are the mighty Redeemer. We've come to worship at your feet, oh Lord. This is Ayotunde Adejimo, chilling with you on the Voice of the People TV. Don't touch that remote. You are where God wants you to be. Listening to the Voice of the People TV.
The Bible says we should give thanks in all circumstances. And all circumstances include the good times and the bad, the high times and the low, the times when everything look as if they are going well, and those times when Enugbe, the ground is dry like the sand in the desert. Those times when you feel like giving up, you should give thanks still. My name is Jeff Melu, and I'm a gospel poet. And you should keep watching VOP TV. Don't touch that dial.
Yes, sir. We were born to give you toilet, to give you a shame. People of God, you are watching Voice of the People TV, and my name is Flo Rocker. I encourage you to listen to things of the gospel. You know, we live in a very perilous times where there are some things you watch on television, you will lose faith, you will lose God. Keep your eyes on Voice of the People TV and remain blessed. Flo Rocker says so. Kuzoshi.
On Edu Dialogue, we bring you fresh ideas and conversations shaping the future of learning in Nigeria and beyond.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
Mr. Familoni, and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
My name is Made Kuti, and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpillon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Atiku and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People Television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, with the sport.
And it's Hakim Ziyech, who puts the
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Now let's dive into it. The presidency has dismissed allegations that it secretly altered some provisions of the newly enacted tax reform laws, insisting that no changes were made outside the established legal and legislative process. However, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has accused the federal government of migrating from padded budgets to forged laws over discrepancies between the tax reform law. Well, the tax reform law passed by the House of Representatives and the gazetted version signed by President Bola Tinubu. Now, Peter Obi expressed concern over the alteration, saying it reveals the extent of institutional decay and undermines trust in governance. He called for transparency, accountability, and respect for the rule of law, warning that no nation can thrive where laws are forged and silence replaces leadership. The House of Representatives has constituted an ad hoc committee to probe the discrepancies. The tax laws are scheduled to take effect on January 1, 2026, and a lot of education is going on in that regard to educate people on the laws and what they need to know. Well, we have with us Barrister Darlington Agumo. Barrister, good morning to you. Welcome to VOP this morning.
Good morning, Moses, Fina, and Dokoro. How was the weekend?
Very well. Now we'll be joined by our other guest, Prince Adewale Adebayo, who's was a presidential candidate of the SDP in the 2023 presidential election. He will be joining the conversation in the course of time, virtually so. And also, yes, let's try and make sense of it all. Now, the alterations mentioned, Barrister, some of the alterations discovered and put out there by Honorable Dasuki, that's the honorable member. I think I have a screenshot of it somewhere, just trying to lay my finger on it now. Anyway, I probably will get to it in the course of time. But, Barrister, is this what can be done in a situation? Yes. Now, these are the things that were said, allegedly, to have been altered. Discrepancies reported, changes to funding provisions. Now, the introduction of a mandatory 20% deposit before appeals can be heard. All provisions allowing assets garnishment without court approval. Alterations to currency computation rules and empowering tax officers with police-like powers of arrest and detention. Those are some of the things, listed as things that were, smuggled in to the tax law. Now, how can this be best tackled in a situation where there are allegations that what was passed is different from what was gazetted? What does the law say? And how can this be best tackled, Barrister?
It shows that ab initio, there is ulterior motive about this tax law. Ab initio. Thank God they have exposed themselves. They are working towards an answer. They are just using this tax something to cover as a smoke screen. Because it didn't add up. It doesn't add up. I mean, it cannot be implemented. But because they are working towards an answer, that is why this Taiwo Oyedele will be going all over trying to convince me. Meanwhile, they are not making sense. Moses, when it comes to garnishee order, it is only the court. It is only the court that can issue such order. No other institution or body. You don't have the power to do that. To tell somebody you must go and do it. It is the court. That means this tax body can take my money on their own without any court order. And then they cannot arrest me for not paying tax. Look at sweeping powers. And this is unconstitutional. You are violating the constitution because you want to get at something. Please let me hear this properly. Is it all the big men in Nigeria that are paying taxes? Moses, do you remember one alphabet in Lagos State? It got so bad that the managing director had to carry their phone file and drop it with EFCC to tell them what they have been doing, cooking the books and all that. That they are owing the federal government over 100 billion naira. Alphabet. Who arrested who? Who arrested who? That's the man he's talking to himself. I'm not joking. I listened to one interview he granted over the weekend in one radio station. He said that when they were planning this thing, they went all over the place. They went to almost 20 embassies so that they can have the best all over the world, this and that. That they connected them to their tax offices in their home country. They tried South Africa. That South Africa have been doing it for 10 years. And then that was only France that gave them what they wanted. That France was really deliberate. And they signed an MOU. They had to come here. They said instead of going to learn it, they should come here. Can you just imagine?
Now, Barrister, you've made mention of all that, they said. Why would the federal government or the committee, in charge of the tax reform and all that, why would they go all out to start infusing things that were not presented before the National Assembly? And wouldn't this in any way now, still, make the tax law legally vulnerable?
Of course, there will be litigation. We are waiting for them. There will be litigation.
Where then are we heading to with the January 1, 2026 projection for us to have a
I said there will be litigation. Don't even. There will be litigation. I don't need to be told what will happen. They are going to challenge this thing and tell me what power you have to garnish an account. What power do you have? Who gave you that power? We are going to challenge it. So that one is already a done deal. Whether they like it or not, they are going to explain to me when tax authorities started arresting people.
Okay, all right, but Barrister, what problem do you have with the garnishee order? Is it the garnishee order itself or the arrest clause that was... Two of them.
Why do you have a problem they have no power to do that. The Constitution can never give them such power.
Barrister, what is a garnishee order?
Good. A garnishee order is an order given by the court when you refuse to pay money imposed on you. Are you getting what I'm saying? The court will now order a garnishee order on your account.
Okay.
So that you pay that money by force. That is the court.
It's a three-party thing. The creditor, the debtor, and the third party, which is the bank.
No, you don't even have a say. When the court has given order, you don't have a say.
That's what I'm saying. It's a three-way thing. The creditor, the debtor, and the bank, which is the third party. Now, Barrister, why do you have a problem with the fact that the federal government wants to recover money from tax defaulters?
Through illegal means.
Which one is illegal? I mean, Barrister, hold on. Barrister, okay. The bank will not on their own get into your account and take that money. They have to do that with a garnishee order. And you'll also appear before the court, to answer questions. You have a problem with that.
Look, Mr. Okoro, don't put the cat before the horse. The horse should be in front, pulling the cat. Garnishee order comes after all the discussions have been done in court. And the court now say, look, you are owing this person, you are owing the government, It is the court that give order. Not you. Not you now telling me that I should pay you. Now using your own power, not even the power of the court. It is the court that will issue it, Mr. Okoro.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry, Fina. Barrister, if I'm indebted to you now, and there's a garnishee order on my account, how is it affected? Look, there's always a third party, which is the collecting bank, the collecting institution.
You have to, first of all, adhere to the court ruling that brought about the garnishee.
No, but you just say that it is the court that gives the order. No, before the order is given, there will have been a process in the court between the creditor and the debtor. And the court steps in to give that garnishee order. So why do you have a problem with that?
Because the court has not given it now. You are not listening to yourself.
No, you are not understanding. What is the garnishee order? Who gives it?
It It is the courts,
and so
not tax or tax authority.
Problem. Now in this situation, who is giving the garnishee order? Is it not?
It's the court,
so what does the new tax law say about it?
That they will now place a garnishee order for you.
Yes, that FIRS can place the
I am telling you, I don't know what you're going to teach in my mouth
without the court. That's the whole idea.
That's what I'm telling you here. They don't have the right to do that. They don't. It can never happen. It can never happen.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Let's bring Prince Adewale Adebayo into the conversation now. He's a former presidential candidate, 2023 elections under the SDP. Good morning to you, Prince Adewale. Yes, good to have you. Good to have you. Good to have you this morning. Now, what are your fears or what are your worries when you heard about the alteration of the Tax Act? You know, the gazetted copies of the Tax Act. What immediate fears came to mind?
Well, I don't have fears. I only have concern about institutional integrity, because lawmaking is the fundamental duty exercising the sovereign powers of Nigeria. And it's a tree based on rule of law. So the people in government are there by virtue of law. Even my citizenship of Nigeria is defined by law. And all these laws are handled by the National Assembly. So it's important for the people of the country to understand that the National Assembly is still following the constitutional process for lawmaking, because it's supposed to be a representative democracy. So whether the law is good or bad is acceptable if the representatives of Nigerians, 360 of them in the House, 100 of them in the Senate, lean to that law and to that law, majority at least. So when that being questioned, any legislation that is published outside that is treason. It is treason. So what they are saying is that those people are committing treason. That is to say, they are stealing the legislative power of the people of Nigeria and imposing law. So you can't do it. So that's my concern. We need to stand that this is not mere politics now, and we should not make things out of it. It is as bad as saying somebody forged the signature of Buhari. You know, we had that before. When Buhari would say, I didn't sign this into law. These are all treasonable things. You can't do it. So, but to narrow the issue and not make it another political talk, an exchange of words, there are two people you need to hold responsible. The clerk of the National Assembly and the secretary to the government of the Federation. Okay. The clerk of National Assembly is the one who certifies that the laws passed by the two chambers, the two houses of National Assembly, are the same that the president assented to. That's why if you see every gazette at the bottom, the clerk will certify it. So for us in the SDP, we have called our senators and we have called our House of Representative members to give us the copy that they debated and the vote of proceedings. And because it's holiday time, the national chairman and national secretary of SDP said they are coming to Ondo. We're having a small conference, and at that conference, we will invite our National Assembly members to brief us, because we don't want to talk off point. We're a professional, rational political party.
If you can affirm that there are discrepancies, what actions do you intend to take as a political party in the opposition?
Number one, any discrepancy renders that law void. So it's void. It's as good as you and I, after the end of this studio, we just decide to go and sign laws and pass our opinion into law. It's void.
When you say it's void?
It's void because there is a process in the Constitution for passing laws. If you jump that process, you have not passed any law, it's void.
Okay.
Go and read the case of Ladoja, where the Supreme Court held that the House of Assembly sitting in one corner and said they have removed the governor. It's null and void.
All right. So what other actions do you intend to take?
First, let's find out the truth. We don't want to turn into politics because it's a constitutional crime. It's a high crime and misdemeanor.
Okay.
So if the clerk, for example, of National Assembly is not able to secure the will of the people, well, that's his job there, not to award contracts and all of that. His job is to make sure that he covers the votes and proceedings.
All right.
So the three clerks, the clerk of National Assembly, the clerk of the Senate, and the clerk to the House of Representatives, all of them will be removed. Then that law will be declared null and void. Any person, including the Social Democratic Party, we find out, will go to court and ask that the law be declared null and void.
How do you intend that to come up, Prince Adewale Adebayo? Well, we've already heard from the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Publicity, Mr. Temitope Ajayi, making it look more like a political statement, saying that there is no amount of opposition pushback that can stop the implementation of the new tax law come January 1, 2026. How do you think, the clerk and every other person, if at the end of the day has been proven that we have a little alteration in it, can be bring into to answer for this when someone is already being vocal and saying that the new tax law must kick off from 1st of January?
You see, our system is based on law and order, not on the loquaciousness of individuals. That person talking is not relevant in the discussion at hand. What we are discussing is a matter of National Assembly privilege. That a member of National Assembly doesn't mean he's correct, but a member of National Assembly has alleged that there is an alteration. That has nothing to do with the opinion on any person. If the alteration is certain sections, those sections are null and void.
Null and void, you say? Okay,
yes.
Interesting.
So if it's null and void, trying to implement a law that is null and void is of no use. Because
Absolutely. But as an opposition party, SDP, I know you say you don't want to make this about politics and the rest, but we cannot separate the two, really. But as an opposition in the SDP, how are you working? You're going to have your conference where you look into this. But are you reaching out to any other opposition political party to push this forward? Because I see you have just one person in the Senate and two in the House of Reps.
We have two persons in the Senate.
Oh, two in the Senate now. Okay.
Yeah, we have members, representatives. So that is the issue is this. What we want to find out doesn't require number. It requires truth and accuracy. Because every member voted on the bill, all our members. So they need to, they will have read it. They will know what they voted. They will talk to their own staff. We are first interested in knowing the truth because there's a lot of cloud in the sky in politics. We don't want part of that. First is to know the truth.
Okay.
Once we know the truth, just like when in 2022, I running for president, I raised the alarm that our crude oil was being stolen. Navy argued with me, everybody argued with me. At the end of the day, if you look at the report of this government, they agree that I was right and that they are working to reduce it. So we are interested first in that it happened or it did not happen.
All right, exactly the point, Prince. We want to know the truth. Should we be having this back and forth, between the executive and the National Assembly? Should we be setting up a committee just to find out, a document that was gazetted a few days ago? Do we need all of that committee, all that back and forth, the government denying and somebody saying, look, this is what we have? Why set up a committee for that?
Because you are reporting a high crime. So it needs to be investigated. There are many things to investigate. So first, it's about political disagreement for some. For lawyers, it's a constitutional disorder. For most, it's a crime. You cannot alter public documents like that. And I can tell you, I appeared before the Supreme Court with Justice Rose Pfeiffer and a few other and his colleagues there. And one lawyer raised an alarm that the copies of the Constitution that the lawyer on the other side was citing was the wrong one. Supreme Court stopped sitting immediately and asked us to go to the government printers to go and find out whether, because 2 lawyers were holding copies of the Nigerian Constitution and the provisions are different.
2 different copies of the Nigerian Constitution?
Yes.
My goodness.
Supreme Court stopped sitting. And the matter was adjourned 3 times until Supreme Court was sure.
Okay.
And so the Supreme Court ordered that the government printer must give them the authentic gazetted Constitution of Nigeria.
Okay, now
so that they don't apply the wrong one. That's the principle.
I like the word I use, authentic gazetted. In this situation, how do we know which one is authentic? Because the Hansard in the National Assembly, where recordings are, where proceedings are recorded, clearly shows that look, the garnishing law and the authority of the FIRS, to take money from people's account at source was not part of it. But we also see that, look, we have a member of the House of Representatives say this is what was gazetted. Now the question is,
I'm letting you know, okay, whatever is gazetted, the way our constitution is written, they emphasize things like this.
Okay.
The clerk of the National Assembly is the authority on what was passed. That is why it does the authentication at the bottom. Okay. When you go to court and get a judgment of a court, you will get a copy of the judgment signed by the presiding judge and the clerk of the court. If you look at the case of Atiku versus Chukwuba, there was, with Justice Alami presided, and I argued the case, there was a disagreement as to whether there was a judgment of the Court of Appeal, Enugu, whether they passed the judgment or not, under Justice Okpene. And one lawyer said, Ukachuku lawyer said, the judgment was not read. And I was Ugochukuba's lawyer, and I said the judgment was read.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it was the clerk of the Court of Appeal that, because another panel was set up, it was the clerk of National Court of Appeal that came out with the certified true copy and signed it. Okay, and Justice Alami said this judgment is deemed to have been read because the clerk of the court said, the registrar of the Court of Appeal said the judgment was read in open court. What I'm saying is that it is not for politicians to be arguing.
Okay, it's not for politicians to be arguing. Now you've established the fact that it's important and necessary that we set up a committee to get to the roots of this and untie this.
No, that committee is of no use because the clerk, except the clerk is coming before that committee for whatever reason they want to send to the committee, but the clerk is the authority. And if there's a disagreement between the clerk and the members will remove the clerk, that the clerk doesn't have their confidence. Because if the clerk is colluding with some people, with maybe the leadership of the House, measures that they think will not pass majority. Those measures now, they are now passing them through through the back door. They will be, the clerk will be removed, it will be charged for forgery and for treason.
All right, please, let's rely on your experience. You cited one instance here where you talked about the theft of Nigerian oil and the Navy disagreed with you. If you understand politics clearly in Nigeria, do you think that anything will come out of this investigation, trying to know? And if you understand politics too, which I know that you do you think that the government was surreptitiously trying to smuggle in, this clause, without Nigerians knowing it?
There are 3 problems there. One is a policy disagreement. I disagree with the tax bill. And I've said it that Tinubu is a chronic tax collector. If you wake up President Tinubu early in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, you will see that he has an ATM machine by his pillow. His own is to collect from the dead, the living, the poor, whatever. So based on that extortionate philosophy, I disagree. That's a policy disagreement. So but it is different from allegation of crime, because you can pass a law that I don't agree with. That's policy. And you can implement it. I will campaign against it and ask people to vote me so that I can remove from me that law. But it's different from committing crimes and forging laws into existence that don't exist. That's a different matter. So I disagree on policy. If whether they forge it or not, I disagree on policy, and I can give you 10 reasons why they disagree on policy. So with that. Second is that our institutions need to be protected, because Tinubu might want to insert unpopular, undemocratic terms into the bill and gazette it. But National Assembly ought to protect itself. It's not crisis for me. If National Assembly leadership is so suborn, so subordinated, so totally bereft of integrity that they would sabotage their own membership. So it will call for change of leadership in National Assembly for that to happen. So there are 3 levels there.
All
and
right.
I want us to be clear so that people know that they don't like Tinubu, he doesn't like me. I'm looking for job with that. But I don't want people to assume that can rise to the level where I will accuse somebody of a crime they did not commit. Because when we go to the bottom of this matter now, every person who is involved, if it happens, they lose their job and spend some time in prison.
Thank you so much, Prince Adewale Adebayo, for your submission. Barrister Darlington Agumo, let's bring this conversation back to you. You know, we cannot take out the political aspect of this whole back and forth from what the law says. And why I'm asking this question is the fact that you have said that if there is any alteration in this tax reform, this new tax act, which the National Assembly have already passed, that it will be legally vulnerable. But we've seen also the likes of, Bayo Onanuga coming up to tell Nigerians that everything we need to know about this tax reform is already in place. It went through the necessary processes. It is now a law. And, the MDAs and organizations and agencies ready to work with this is already on ground, and nothing is going to stop it. Come 2026, it will still work. So how dare we know it's going to affect over 90% of Nigerians, the whole tax reform act? How then do you think that a proper investigation, like Prince Adewale is calling, is going to yield any fruits when people are already making it look like it's a done deal and we can go back on our words?
Have they done anything that yielded fruit? Point to me. Just one thing, one of their policies that works in fact, so perfect that nobody can even challenge it or talk about it. Have they? They have not. Let us start from the beginning. Taiwo Oyedele told us that they went all over the place looking for the best tax country that will help us out. And they landed in France. Good. France is coming to help you, that they are not going to collect our data. Fina, Moses and Okoro, please tell me, if this government meant well with this tax thing, please, are there no other institutional crisis bedeviling Nigeria? These other countries that their corruption rate is zero. Why have they not gone there to go and learn how to curb corruption in Nigeria? Why have they not gone to the same other countries that have zero tolerance to insecurity and learn how they curb it instead of being in bed with our terrorists? Why have they not gone to other countries that have gotten, in fact, they are well ahead of everybody in good governance? How to institute good governance? Why haven't Taiwo Oyedele gone there? Please tell me, what happened with Alpha Beta? When we came to Lagos here, some gullible Lagosians were jubilating and dancing. At the end of the day, what happened? Why didn't he go and bring the one they did in Lagos as an example? No, these are issues that nobody is even talking about. That you went to France, and so what? These other issues that are even more prevalent in our national life. Why have you not gone to places where they have perfected it? Perfected it, that you want to perfect our tax now. Why can't you go there?
Barrister, why are we having this back and forth? Let's take it back to what played out during the list made available by the presidency. People that, prerogative of mercy, people that are supposed to benefit from it. Other people had to come up to say these were not the names presented. That shows something really played out. And then it's not the first time we're having such play out. So now we're having the back and forth of some people altering the tax reform and what is really playing out.
It shows you that Tinubu is not in charge. Some people are manipulating him and his government.
How possible is it for someone who has been a two-time governor of a state, a Lagos state, not to be in charge?
I get that before, no be property. That was dead. Even when he was in charge here, anything happened. Did anything happen? Is it not propaganda?
So are you saying that
are
you saying that what the likes of Alain Jume told Nigerians about how the president is not the one ruling us, but some elements in that White and Aso Rock are the ones, dishing out orders and everything? Are you saying that those words of Alain Jume are correct?
When something is obvious, do you need to stress it? Aisha Buhari is singing Kennedy now. The woman is singing Kennedy. How some people hijack her husband's government. So, do you think such a thing is not happening now? Because look at all the things, all the policies, have they not been reversing it? Have they not been reversing? That means he was not even in charge. If he's in charge, he would have known and think about it before he will now make a pronouncement on them. Is that not true?
Oh, well, thank you very much, Barrister Darlington Agumo. Thanks for your contribution. And Nigerians are asking the same questions that you're asking. Well, let's quickly, before we wrap up this conversation, let's quickly go back to Prince Adewale Adebayo. Now, Prince, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Now, the optics. I understand that this is digital era. Things are not saved on paper, but we know that in civil service, a lot of paper carried goes around, but we have information saved on hard drives and computer and the rest. But the optics, what optics does the burning or the fire that raised the FIRS office in Abuja, what optics does that put forward on Saturday morning? Electrical faults. That's what the fire is blamed on. At a time when Nigerians are asking questions as to a possible alteration of a bill and the France MOU, with all those questions coming up, and then a fire incident in an office. What impression does that give you?
When there's a fire, the fire department will investigate the remote cause of the fire, where the fire started from. The fire can happen anytime. Maybe it's poor public building. It could be sabotage. It could be anything. When it comes to issues like fire, we should be scientific. We should not talk about politics. We should just ask that the fire be thoroughly investigated and find out. But these laws that you are talking about are not likely domiciled in the office of the FIRS. They are likely to be, they are in the National Assembly and with the government printers. So I don't think that will have any effect on hiding the law. The law is in the hand of all the lawmakers. So what I know is that public buildings should have good fire protection. And where there's fire, it needs to be investigated. And we should reduce the incidences that will cause fire in our public buildings. But I don't think we should turn it to the witch cry last night and the baby died today.
Some Nigerians are having, especially on social media, is that, they are trying to hide something, especially with the deal signed with France. They're trying to cover up something. Because why is it that when we're talking about this, that's when the fire, that's the
leadership cannot be following the general public. The leadership will give information. Members of the general public are entitled to speculate, but you can't do politics based on speculation. You can't do leadership based on speculation, based on fact. So people can suspect because generally...
Prince Adewale, there was an interference there, but if we still have it, let's have you conclude on this.
Yeah, my conclusion is that we should not run a republic of just mere unscientific information. What we should do is clearly, one, if there's fire in a building, the authorities in Abuja will investigate that fire, the fire department will investigate that fire. But what is at stake are three things, and we should not lose sight of them. One, the tax policy that led to that tax bill is a bad policy. It will ruin the economy. It will hold the state captive on behalf of the ruling government. It won't grow the economy, and the provisions are draconian. Secondly, it looks like there's an allegation of high crime already being committed, including treasonable offenses of altering the law passed by National Assembly, thereby sabotaging the sovereign will of Nigerian people. That needs to be thoroughly investigated. Thirdly, legal actions will be taken to ensure that even if the law is authentically passed the way it is being presented, that it cannot be implemented as such because it breaches civil liberty. It's against Section 6 of the Constitution, which gives the right to judicial orders to the judiciary only, and it also violates due process. So there are no reasons for Nigerians to worry too much about this law. We already have majorities against it, and if any illegal part of it is to be implemented from January 1, it will be a harvest of lawsuits, not a harvest of tax money. And the government will realize that they've made a big mistake and they will change course. And it's one of more added lessons to the reasons why in 2027 we should do all we can to vote out bad government and put in people who are professional. By God's grace, I've already informed my party that I will be running, and we hope that Nigerian people this time around will take all the lessons.
You think the SDP will be stronger than they were in 2023, in 2027?
Well, any party, including the SDP, that works with the majority of Nigerian people will be stronger.
You intend to leave
our aim is to work with Nigerian people. It is not about political party now. It's about the Nigerian people, long-suffering Nigerian people, against the draconian, unhelpful government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and APC.
How will Nigerian people do it without a platform? Say it's not about any political platform.
There are, excuse me, let us not get confused. There are enough platforms. People just need to enter those platforms and identify with the platform. The platform is that doesn't win election. What wins election are the people. The whole of the platform is to organize the philosophy that we are around which we are running, select credible leadership, do the communication, and do the community work. There's nothing magical about political parties. They are just...
Is your party SDP going to be part of any merger, any coalition against 2027?
No, there will be no merger, but there will be cooperation, and we are talking. The merger, we don't believe in it because of the fact that when the idea of merger came, I was the first person to raise the issue of merger even in 2022. 14 political parties, go and see the newspaper advertisement that they did for me. However, I found out that a lot of the definition of who is opposition and who is government in Nigeria is only if you're out of job. Immediately you are out of government, out of job, you're opposition. But our own in SDP is opposition of ideas. So many of the people who are in opposition who want to do coalition with us, they agree more with the government than with us. So we had an interview with them and said, look, your philosophies and ideas agree more with Tinubu than with us. The only reason why you are calling yourself opposition is because you are not in government, you are not part of them yet. So we are trying to do our own organizing around principles. Some are doing the organizing around personality. That's why we have this agreement. They believe that if somebody who was in government yesterday, implementing the same policy, suddenly is out of job now, it's automatically opposition. We don't agree. We in SDP, we believe that the tendency that is ruling now has elements who are with Tinubu in government, has personal or political reasons, but they are still the same people. And that any alliance with them will produce the same thing. It will end up having a Tinubu without swastika cap. You have another Tinubu having the same policy, and the people will feel that we deceive them.
All right. Thank you so much, Prince Adewale Adebayo. I needed to ask a very, but I think that might be a personal question when you're talking about people who, the moment they are no longer in power, the moment they're no longer in office, they'll become opposition. Some have actually said that all politicians in Nigeria, they are all the same. They don't play the politics for the people. They only think of their own personal interest. And some will say that that's the reason Nigeria is the way it is. What do you have to say about that? And what are the new things or the new, let's say, ideas that you want to bring or you think your party can bring now at this point to make sure, especially the issue of cross-carpeting, because we check your party SDP, we've seen people from different parties aligning with your party when they don't really share the same ideology. What are the new ideas you're thinking of championing or bringing at this point to make sure that we have a stable, opposition party, not the ones that favors individuals and their interests?
Most stable National Assembly caucus. Go and find out. Others are losing their members in large numbers. We are retaining our own. We only lost one member. That's all. And that one member, when we asked him, he hasn't left. He hasn't resigned from us. So we want to presume that he's still with us. But he went into his state and said, I'm now with APC. We asked him, he said, no, don't, they misquoted me, so we're watching. We don't want to breach the law. That's why we have not expelled him.
Interesting times, indeed.
Yeah, that's why we have not expelled him. So he's still attending our meeting, so we have not lost any member. But
Are you sure you don't have spies in your party as well? Shouldn't you be wary of infiltration?
There are spies everywhere, but the uselessness of a spy is that we do our things in the open. So what are you spying on us for? Our philosophy is very simple, that you must implement Chapter 2 of the Constitution. And that you must invest in social infrastructure. You must invest in housing, healthcare, education, and infrastructure. And you must be transparent in the spending of government money. And you must not make useless laws like the one they're making now, which is extortionate upon the people. So those are the areas where we disagree with Tinubu. And if I disagree with Tinubu, I disagree with Atiku automatically. It will be foolish and also moronic to say, I disagree with Tinubu, but I disagree with Atiku. Then that person is not serious. Because if you look at the policy content, they are the same. So that is the reason why we said, let's be careful. What we are bringing is that Nigerian people should stop pretending. Politicians are not the same. You cannot say Ganifa Emi, when I ran for president, was the same with Obasanjo. You cannot say Patu Tomi is the same with Tinubu. You cannot say that. Let us not deceive ourselves. Just say that our people have been conservative in their voting and in their politics, and that this conservatism has led to worse and worse administrations coming, and that this time around, the moment we become aware that we can't be conservative in an underdeveloped country, that we need to be brave and we need to be drastic in the management of our affairs, then you will look for someone who is new, who is fresh, and you take a risk on that person rather than allowing the system to perpetuate itself. So that is the point that that's what we are bringing out. And our opposition is not about personality. Tinubu has not offended me personally. He has not taken anything from me. I don't know him. I don't care. I am only disagreeing based on the fact that they are violating the Constitution in the manner in which they are using public resources, and that they have hijacked the resources of the country, and they are not spending it the way the Constitution says we should be spent. The Constitution that created the office of president and gave the president all the powers in the Constitution is the same Constitution.
Interesting conversation with Prince Adewale Adebayo, SDP presidential candidates in the 2023 presidential election.
That told the government on how.
Okay, I think there's a network glitch there, but it's been interesting conversing with you. Well, let's get into another conversation now. We're talking party politics now. PDP crisis is before us this morning. Wike, Makinde factions, they remain adamant despite INEC intervention. Let's dive into this.
Is the most wonderful time of the year. But for us, the technical crew,
it's weird for technical people to be in front of camera, but I just want to say,
now this one they make me come outside every day. Anytime when they call me, I will rush come outside. We don't get holiday.
Our holiday is part of our daily routine, and we've embraced it.
I must say, the work is challenging, engaging, and interesting.
We are all families here at VOP, and we the technical crew.
For us, it's another day on the job.
But it's tough being away from family.
But the lighter part of it is that after the work,
we will stay connected with video calls and messages. Merry Christmas.
On behalf of the technical crew, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, and here we are, job continues.
Glad to have you back. It's still VOP this morning. Two rival factions of the People's Democratic Party, backed by Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, and Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, have refused to merge despite the Independent National Electoral Commission's INEC intervention in the party's leadership crisis. Both factions claims to be the legitimate leadership of the party, with Wike's camp saying it embodies the party's original leadership and Makinde's bloc maintaining its stance as the rightful custodian of the party. INEC has called for both factions to wait for the Court of Appeal's decision on the matter. And as of today, the internal wrangling in PDP still continues. We've been joined from our Benin studios by Comrade Chris Ojekere, public and political affairs commentator, and also from our Port Harcourt studios, we'll be joined by Chief Dr. Emmanuel Royanama, a socio-political commentator and advocate of good governance. He's also a seasoned licensed human resource practitioner, management consultant, chartered mediator, and consolidator. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to have you join today's conversation. Good morning, Comrade Chris Ojekere, if you can hear me.
Good morning.
All right, good morning, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Royanama. Good to have you join today's conversation.
My pleasure.
All right, Chief Dr. Emmanuel, let me start off with you. What do you make of this? Because I learned that the factions that went in to meet the INEC, PDP party chieftains that went to meet the INEC to at least negotiate on the way forward of the party, they are still talking tough. The Wike faction is of the opinion that they are the ones taking care of the party thus far. The Sheyi Makinde's bloc were of the opinion that they are the original ones that INEC should recognize, not the Wike faction. How do we have people that have been suspended by the party now still playing or being actors still in the party that have suspended them, as well as suspending the people that suspend them? Please help us actually work on this. And what does this portend for the People's Democratic Party, the biggest or the largest political party in West Africa before now?
Well, first is the intervention method. Who was doing the intervention and why was he doing intervention? And when was the first time we heard of INEC intervening in circumstances like this? What is INEC's real interest in the intervention? These are small questions we need to understand. The elementary theory of mediation presupposes that parties in mediation seek for a mediator, not a mediator seeking for them. Again, that's an element that seems to be lost in this circumstance to me. I do not see a positive mediation result in the circumstance. Like you said, all parties are holding on to their grounds. The first principle of mediation is that parties are willing to shift grounds. And if parties in this circumstance are not shifting grounds, it presupposes that there is no real intention for mediation or resolution of the crisis. We could hear the things they sing behind the scene. Now, remember very clearly that one of the issues here is that a decision has been taken by a group who feels that they constitute a proper NEC, and that decision is that certain person have been expelled from the party. If this person has been expelled from the party, the first question will be which locus, on what basis are they even standing to do the discussion? Must they remain in the party if the party says she does not want them? What has been the precedence of this group of persons in the past? Have they actually wanted, in any time, peace in that party? Now, as we look at all of that, the next question we'll be looking at is, what kind of peace do you want? Do you want to bring them back to maintain the status quo? In other words, the division system that they actually want, or they want to follow a new leaf? The probabilities or the possibilities of them following a new leaf is as slim as 0.000 whatever. And so the question will be, what is this discussion actually for? Is it to kill the PDP as seems to have been intended by these particular persons all this while? I do not see PDP getting completely back in the nearest future, not in 2027 at all, no matter what happens, whether this mediation sails through or it doesn't sail through.
All right.
A lot of cracks have been done. PDP wasted her good times. At the times she had to take a decision, she refused to take a decision much more earlier. And several damages have been done. I do not see her assuming the name you called her, the one-time biggest party in Africa, or as they currently want to claim, the biggest opposition in the country as of today. All of that are things that are not does not seem very viable in the very short run. PDP has so much work to do, with or without even these present circumstances in. I'm afraid, like I said before, this mediation does not have the basic principles of mediation, and I do not see it yielding any serious result.
All right, when you ask why will INEC intervene in this, it's also important to know that we have the FCT, area council election that will be happening 21st of February 2026, and also we have the Ekiti and Osun state election slated for June and July 2026 respectively, and we know that members of the PDP want to contest in that election. Josh Amapito professor said that the reason for INEC to intervene in this is because they've been receiving conflicting correspondence from the party, and they wouldn't want what played out sometime. Recall what happened in Nigeria in a certain state where after the election, because of the internal party wrangling, someone who won the election was pushed out by the court because of the person who signed the person's the party's form, nomination form and interest form too, and that was the reason this individual was disqualified. So when you ask why INEC should play in this, isn't it better that they come in at this point to clear the air so that people that want to participate and run for the February FCT election and June and July Osun State, Ekiti State governorship election will also do that without fear of being disqualified after the election?
Whether they intervene and get any solution or not, if there are legal breaches, as it were, in those circumstances you mentioned, at the end of the day, the judiciary will still take its course of action, and whoever won on a wrong nomination will still lose his or her seat. The concern I have is very simple. PDP is not the only. And when I begin to see government and government agency continuously wanting to get involved, it presupposes that they actually were part of the real problem that party already has. It keeps telling me that, look, there are several external forces that want that party to die, and because the party, those in the party or leadership at the party didn't see it early, they fell to the trap, and the same persons are taking continuous error from the party leadership over time. And that's where I just have the issues. I'm aware that Labour Party have issues. I've not seen INEC intervene up till this time. I'm aware that several other small parties have issues. The truth of the matter is this: for a mediation to actually take place, the parties in that negotiation must be willing first for the mediator to come in, and then they must be willing to follow the rules of mediation. And one of the basic rules of mediation is that the parties should be willing and ready to shift ground. From what we've seen so far, none of these parties will shift ground, and so the mediation itself will fail even before it begins.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Leroy. I'll come back to you on this matter, but let's go to our Benin outstation where we have Comrade Chris Ojekere. He's a public affairs analyst as well as a political affairs commentator. Good morning to you, Comrade Chris Ojekere, and thanks for coming to VOP this morning. Hello, Comrade Chris, can you hear me? I need for you to unmute your mic so that we can get your audio feed.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very well, I can hear you. Good morning, Comrade Chris Ojekere.
I said good morning and thank you for having me here.
Now, beautiful. I'm sure you have followed the conversation. INEC invited both camps in the PDP, the Sheyi Makinde-led camp and the Nyesom Wike-led camp for reconciliation. I want to have your broad reaction to this meeting that has been called by INEC before I ask you further questions. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm surprised that Emmanuel says he doesn't know why INEC intervened. He doesn't know that Professor Amupita loves the PDP so well that he doesn't want the PDP to disintegrate. He loves the PDP so well that he wants them to be a formidable opposition to the APC. You see, my brother, we love to supply you, the media, talking points so that we can keep ourselves as politicians engaged. Perhaps that gives a semblance of participation, or a semblance of pragmatism, or a semblance of popularity. It's funny what's going on. The agenda of both sides are very clear. Wike is doing his job and is doing it perfectly well. What I would want to know is what is Makinde's job? Is it that Makinde is trying to get together the dredge of PDP so that he can use it post 2027, maybe in 2031 or something? Or does he seriously think and believe that he's going to win this battle? Wike's job was to destroy the PDP. That's the job Wike is doing. Why is everybody? Why are they pretending? And the way the matter is so intractable that Wike will win in this matter. The suspenders and the suspended are all intricately woven together. And as the prof said when he intervened, or I would rather call it interfered, when he interfered, he made this clear to them, he gave them a hint. You have so many conflicting letters with INEC, which tells you that even though one happens to succeed to produce what they call candidates, it will still face post-election situations and post-elections.
Comrade Chris, that's exactly my question. Shouldn't INEC be the one? I'm surprised that the INEC chairman is also saying, look, we have so many conflicting documents, correspondences from you. Shouldn't INEC be the one to say, look, this is the authentic faction of the PDP. This is the authentic leadership.
So that should, that should give you a clear clue to Professor Amupita's intervention or interference, as I put it. He's going there to create an alibi. He's going there to pretend that they carried out their constitutional duty of being, partly part of their mandate to supervise the political party.
I'm sorry, Comrade Chris. Let me button at this moment. You know that the INEC chairman is a professor of law, and you might well understand that, look, the courts have no place, in deciding the authentic leadership of the party, and that is why he has stepped in. Because as a matter of fact, the Supreme Court...
The court might not have a place in naming who is the leadership, but the court, whether the processes were followed or the processes according to the constitution of the PDP were followed, that's the court's place always. The court would decide based on the processes that were followed to arrive at whoever you call leader. If the processes were followed according to the constitution, the court will recognize that, and
talking about processes, it's curious that INEC, is doing this kind of job that Nigerians don't understand. A certain convention was called in Ibadan by Seyi Makinde and his group, and INEC did not observe that convention, which more like invalidated that convention, and the executive, the National Working Committee, that got elected in that convention. Now, fast forward to Ekiti State, where they held a Goba primaries. The Goba primaries was conducted by the Seyi Makinde-led camp that produced Tamilu Turaki as the new PDP chairman. Now, that is the camp that conducted the primaries. And INEC turned around to accept the candidate from that camp. So what is INEC telling us? Isn't that a statement that is the authentic faction of the PDP?
The professor wouldn't have held the kind of meeting he had with them. The truth of the matter is that there are so many booby traps set by Wike's camp that whatever you see is just what they call the more you look, the less you see. The truth is, as he rightly admitted in that meeting, there are so many conflicting letters that they will have to wait for the appeal court. And the appeal court is to decide whether the process. It was a court order that said INEC should not witness the Ibadan, convention. And that court order was relying on some of these so-called plenty letters that is with INEC, these conflicting judgments and letters that are with INEC. The truth is, Wike is doing his job. The job of Wike is to create so much confusion that it is even impossible for INEC to say what is PDP and which is PDP. Right now, the national secretary of the party, the organizing secretary of the party are in Wike's camp. And those people are statutorily elected according to Supreme Court judgment. So how do we begin to reconcile this at the day? Is the appeal court going to say that the secretary that the Supreme Court had said his election followed due process and the rightful national secretary of the party be sacked down by an appeal court. So these are the issues. There's so much confusion there. The only wise thing I would have advised Makinde to do, if not for ambition, is for Makinde to take his own section of the PDP, his own group of the PDP, and go and pitch camp with the ADC and pitch camp with the coalition. We should not toy with 2027 and divide the ranks that should come together to unseat this terrible government that is ruling us. This kind of gerrymandering that they are doing in PDP, they will only end up not having a candidate. And then they will have served neither the opposition and indeed serve the ruling party that will say we all want to get out. It doesn't make any political sense for anybody to be fighting in his own house when there's an enemy outside ravaging the entire household. So I don't think politically we have sat down, we have analyzed this. What's PDP's intention? Rather, what's Makinde's intention? Because Makinde cannot claim to be more PDP than Wike. That's why the activities of Wike and those with Wike, that's why the activities of those people, surreptitiously. The truth of the matter is that by legal processes and by processes of party constitution, it is not possible for Makinde to have expelled the people he said he has expelled. There's too much history, and those histories will all come up in court. And you continue to have this merry-go-round until the election comes, rather than being pragmatic and take a decision the way Atiku Abubakar and the others have taken, leave Wike's house for Wike, and then move on to ADC and unite with the coalition, and then forge a common front for Nigerian people to have an opposition to support against this incumbency that is a fiery serpent biting everybody in their backyards.
All right, then, Comrade Chris Ojekere, thank you for your submission there. Let's go back to Chief Dr. Emmanuel Ireyenama. Chief Doctor, the way the PDP is right now,
yes,
the different factions, the Turaki, Makinde faction, and the Wike, Samuel Anyango faction, as they are, do you think either of them will make a good addition to any opposition party? Or will it be more problems for any opposition party that they choose to align with? Just like how Comrade Chris Ojekere did say, that the Makinde faction should just, align with the ADC and make things work. Would that be a good addition, or more problems for the ADC or any other party? Let's have this and have your concluding thoughts on this one before we move to the next conversation.
But like we all know, the bigger any house, the more problems are likely to arise. So whichever group they join is likely to have its own problem, because politics is all about interest. That's what it is. But again, it is a mind how much it can solve the problems. All of them coalescing. Why are they coalescing? If they declare that they have a common enemy, it's easier to manage the entire thing. We shouldn't forget what happened with the now APC and then PDP in 2014. In coming together, they took a simple decision. Hey, we have a common enemy. So each person needs to drop ambition. We're all aware that at that time, Tinubu himself actually wanted the presidency. But they had to do some give and take because they had a common enemy, which was then PDP. So if this set of PDP persons also have think in that direction and tell themselves, hey, we now have a common enemy called APC, them and indeed any other person that is actually wanting to coalesce to forming a proper, and then think direction to say, hey, let's drop whatever we're going to do and then let's just one person across the line. Then they can actually be a formidable opposition. If they don't do that, I do not see the problem that what they actually have in current PDP. And like I said before, PDP as it is today cannot, no matter what happens, no matter which of the sides wins, cannot remain a serious opposition in Nigeria.
Why is it that in Nigeria we're having different laws for different political parties? For Labour Party, we're told that the law, or rather the court, has no right to meddle into internal affairs of the political party. But in PDP at this point, we're seeing a court of appeal getting ready to decide what their fate will be or who the leadership of the party will be. And also the Supreme Court, according to what the beg your pardon, the Makinde Block publicity secretary in Memebom talked about. He said that the Supreme Court was the one that made INEC or gave the order that they shouldn't attend the party convention and all that. So why do we have different laws for different political parties in Nigeria? And what does this portend for democracy of this country?
The creators of the law themselves created lacunas right, left, and center. But before I even conclude, let me say one thing so that our audience gets it clear. INEC not attending the convention does not make that convention illegal. That's a very clear thing. The information, what the law says is inform INEC on within XYZ period. If you do that, you fulfill that right. But that's not even where I'm going to. Let's get to the real thing. The truth is, the law at creation created some lacunas, some gaps right, left, and center. The fact that the Supreme Court says party matters should be handled at the party level also created a caveat that says the party must follow established constitutions and the general constitution of the land. So, if you take laws into your hand, as we see with Nigerian politicians, where they throw away laws even that they create themselves and then go ahead and do anything, the courts will still come in from time to time, and that's the problem PDP is having, and most of the parties are actually having. There's impunity on the part of leadership at the various levels of our parties. They do things and think that they can just go away with it.
Okay.
And so the law has a way of still catching up with you when you go in that direction.
All right, thank you very much, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iroyenama. Now, let's go into another interesting conversation that is also political. Now, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, has urged the judiciary to maintain discipline, consistency, and strict adherence to constitutional timelines in resolving election disputes ahead of the 2027 general election. Kekere-Ekun emphasized that the judiciary would once again be required to play a stabilizing national role and that pre-election disputes must be resolved with clarity and balance to maintain public confidence. She also highlighted the need for judicial welfare, security and well-being, and encouraged judges to openly engage during the conference to strengthen the institution. Let me come to you, Comrade Chris Ojekere, on this. And that was during a judges' conference, and the Chief Justice CJN Kekere-Ekun decried, the spread of conflicting judgments, ahead of the 2023 general election, and said that, look, we don't want a repeat of all of that. She also talked about timeline, the quick dispensation and delivery of justice. Now, if you read the Chief Justice's statement, that looks like an admission of the failure of the judiciary to uphold democratic tenets during the 2023 general election. What's your reaction to that statement coming from the CJN? Hello, Comrade Chris, can you hear me? I need for you to unmute your mic.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I okay, yeah. Now, I said she should have done more than that mess. Nigerian judiciary now goes beyond mere statements. What we need is a wholesale judicial reform. You see, the problem with us, when I say us, I mean government and some complicit people who are citizens of the country, is that we just like talking about things. The state of the judiciary right now in Nigeria is so deplorable that the people that discuss it more who tell us countless and plethora of non-judicial practices, from their recruitment to the activities of judges in courts and so on and so forth. So why is the CJN pretending that what we have is a small problem? She should declare a state of emergency in the judicial sector and embark just now, before the election, on real reforms that will convince Nigeria that she's serious. We've had conferences. We've had mere statements like this. We are not going to be talking about statements anymore. Pragmatism should be the key word right now. She should come up with points, salient points of judicial reform. She should name some judicial officers, constitute them into a reform committee, and then bring out specific cases specific conflicting judgment.
Comrade Chris, I hate to butt in at this time, but permit me to do that. She actually talked about reforms. She also talked about the welfare of judges, and she said that, look, a judge that is not protected cannot, in actual sense, deliver justice. When she talked about the welfare of judges, do you think that judges that are not well paid are likely to, give judgments, that are somehow compromised? Do you think that should it be?
Yes. And I'm happy that she's sincere about that she's supplying us some of the motives for all this kind of judicial infractions and compromise. I'm happy about that. That should be part of the reform. We admit that the kind of society we live in today, judges are so poorly paid that there's very strong temptation to inducement. Although when they signed to be judicial officers, they had signed that whatever the situation, whatever the circumstance, they will uphold the rule of law and they will uphold justice. What the judges don't know and what the judiciary should know is that their influence and authority and right to demand for better payment or whatever they will demand comes from how they stick to their calling, how they dispense justice, how they uphold the rule of law. And that will get society to respect them. And whatever demands they make after that, everybody will support, even the man on the street will support. So there should be pragmatic steps with those timelines she's giving. Should be timelines on when the committee will submit their reports, and then one or two judges will be used as examples from existing cases. There are many cases in court who are giving conflicting judgment, who have compromised the law, and so on and so forth. The NJC was set up particularly for that. We want to see the days of Justice Kayode Esho. We want to see the days of Mohammed Duwet. We want to see the days of Okuta. We want to see those days back in the judiciary. So just papering over things and saying that does not impress anybody.
Okay, just papering things and over, that doesn't impress anybody. Now, let's bring in Dr. Emmanuel Iroyenama into this conversation. Dr. Iroyenama, I'd like you to interrogate the recent comment made by the CJN talking about how the judiciary needs to improve by 2027.
First, she should be ashamed of heading an arm of government Nigerians have no faith in. Nigerians have lost complete hope in the judiciary, more so under her tenure. She needs to tell us what the Abuja division of the High Court is up to and the kind of meddlings and things they've done in recent past. It is easy to talk, but we want to see real action. While one may not blame her, even looking at how almost all of them grew to the position they grew to, having been pushed by politicians and being obedient to political decisions. If she wants to be serious, talk is not the way to show us, but action. 2027 is just here by the corner. I, for one, do not have faith in her or in that agency. The judiciary today is a plaything. And so talk of that nature doesn't do anything. They've been super compromised. And it's seen in everything they do. They give different judgments. Severally, she had said courts of coordinate jurisdiction should not take decisions on the same case. But what do we see every other time? They do the same thing and nothing happens. What has been the consequence for those that have erred? At best, they retire you. And if you look at what you will take through that illegal process and what your retirement or continuous stay will be, and if that the other is higher, you take it and there you go away. Nothing happens thereafter. Nothing happens.
Okay.
We need a judiciary that we can trust.
Okay, we
not
need a judiciary that we can trust,
guidance.
and not the one that we have now. And this is where we have to draw the curtains on VOP this morning. I must say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Emmanuel Iroyenama, socio-political commentator and advocate of good governance. Thanks for coming to VOP this morning. We also had Barrister Darlington Agomu, a lawyer and political affairs analyst who joined us, who was part of the show. We also had Comrade Chris Ojekere, political affairs analyst and political analyst and commentator. We were also joined by Prince Adewole Adebayo, the former presidential candidate of the SDP, Social Democratic Party. Gentlemen, I must say a very big thank you for being part of this show. Now, on behalf of my colleagues here, Moses Humphrey and Fina Okechukwu, and on behalf of the backroom staff, the technical director, bus manager, sound engineer, and the ingest manager, I am Chukwu Maokoro. Join us again at 10 o'clock when Moses and I return for newspaper review. Bye for now.